Hello everyone, welcome to Astro Life on Instagram. Once a week, I will meet an astrologer here and talk about a recent event and astrology impact. Well, but today is a very special episode because I'm going to invite Lianne Mccafferty to join me, and we are going to talk about what happened during the 2023, such an hide it. Okay, so I'm going to invite Lianne now, and then she will join us to talk about it. Just give me a second. Here we are. Hello.
Hi, Rod.
How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm okay. Let me check my sound. That's good.
Okay,
All
I can
good.
hear you. Yeah, I can hear you very clearly. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so what a interesting Mercury retrograde, isn't it? Because the news was like a huge change, very different.
Yeah. It's all over the place, isn't it?
Yes,
And
to be honest.
do you know what? We've still got this Pluto and Capricorn thing going on, and Pluto's on that anoretic 29th degree now.
Mm,
And I always keep saying, I'm like a stuck record, Pluto will save the best till last. And this Mercury retrograde is digging up even more corruption and even more abuse of power. And, you know, I've just seen in the news, obviously, Donald Trump
yeah,
isn't allowed to stand in, is it Texas? The state of
Colorado.
Texas?
Colorado.
Colorado, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. And then in the Jeffrey Epstein case, a judge has
yes.
ruled that all of Jeffrey Epstein's associates should be named. So I bet there's a lot of people running for cover, particularly people in very high-powered positions,
Yeah,
you know, and very well-known, powerful figures,
yeah,
without a doubt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think they have to hide their name, or they just like a pretend dead to be for a long time ago or something.
Yeah. So, and then just UK politics. I've been watching the situation with Michelle Moan,
Yes.
who, you know, got the contract for the PPE during
Yes.
COVID, made millions and millions of pounds profit,
It was,
and the terrible
yeah,
interview. What a terrible interview she gave, and just
yeah,
totally incriminated herself. And I think she's going to bring down some other politicians with her.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that is very ridiculous. And you just like, I mean, the things related to COVID that was still so very hot and sensitive and still feeling still very raw, especially for those people who lost their family member during the time. And
Yeah.
our government is not just doing nothing. In reverse, like
Yeah.
kind of profit from it. It's just like, what kind of government it is? I know you're Tory, you love money, that's all right. But you really rob from people. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And Michelle Moon sat there and said, I haven't done
Wrong.
anything wrong. She is so detached from reality and what people went through. She's done nothing wrong. So there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Disgusting. Anyway, yeah, but the Trump thing was a surprise, to be honest. Yesterday when before we went to bed, I read news, I said, that is interesting. That is a really interesting. Well, best news I read for whole year is true.
Yeah.
But I also hold my breath because I know they will eventually go to the US Supreme Court,
Yeah.
and then it will all gone again. But the timing is very interesting, right? Because two things. We know the previous new moon on the 12th of December is on the 20th degree of Sagittarius. And that was indeed exact on Trump's own moon, his
Yeah.
natal moon.
Yeah.
How funny it could be. How funny it could be is on the moon. And then I think the Colorado, they're talking about the this this ruling is postponed until the early January, and when Mercury returned to direct
Yeah.
at 22 degrees Sag, it's like
Yeah, and you know, and I'm looking as well. We've got a full moon next week, don't we? At four
yeah,
degrees of Cancer.
yes,
which is quite close to Trump's Mercury at 8 Cancer.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, and and didn't Mercury station direct at 8
Hey,
Capricorn?
Capricorn,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly opposite Trump's Mercury. I'm just
Yes.
looking at his chart now. Um, so, and it's going to pass back over that in
Yes.
January. So, yeah, this is going to run on and on. But what he'll do, because it's his Mercury's in Cancer,
Yeah.
he will pull the sympathy vote.
Oh.
He will
Oh.
act like the victim, and he has this incredible ability to get people to take his side and feel
Yeah.
sorry for him and say, "Oh, it's not fair the way that he's being treated." So, but we know he's polarizing.
Yeah.
People love him or hate him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, people believe he's a Jesus again. Come on, for God's sake. God, if he's Jesus, I could be Buddha.
I'm the Virgin Mary then. I
Well,
didn't mean that literally.
yeah, I know, but will not you? Well, but another thing, I think about Trump is we still hanging out there. And then there is a lot of things, but it's a very interesting development so far
Yeah,
at this moment. So we will see. Next year will be more to come. And well, this
yeah,
year, basically, even we don't want to know, we still have to, follow the news in the United States because the
yeah,
presidential election will be the biggest, the most important
yeah.
in our world. And then, well, what other news you want to bring to us?
Um, well, it's just the same old, the political mess and, what's going on in Israel, the conflicts.
Yes,
But I just thought it'd be lovely to reflect
well, definitely.
on 2023 because it's been quite an intense year.
Mm,
We've got one foot in the past with Pluto going back into Capricorn at, the very end of Capricorn. It's already been, Aquarius for a brief time. So one foot in the past and one foot in the future. And then, when Saturn went into Pisces, it kind of felt like we weren't going anywhere. We're
mm,
kind of just swimming around in circles and swimming around, without a paddle and just don't
yeah.
quite know which direction to go in because we want to move forward, but Pluto keeps pulling us back into the past, into Capricorn.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of that. And I think we've had so much focus on material concerns with the cost of living, inflation. It's been a struggle financially for a lot of people. Obviously, we've got Jupiter in Taurus, which is inflated financial
Mm.
concerns. But I was thinking all the Mercury retrogrades this year have been in earth
Yes.
signs. They've all been in earth signs, and it's been very much a focus on material problems, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
finances or
Mm.
possessions. The earth itself, I was looking back, we've had quite a lot of natural disasters this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We started January quite quietly, and then bang, February hit, and we had that earthquake in Turkey and
Yes.
Syria.
Yes.
And then it just seemed to get more intense from there. And
Yeah.
we got into sort of April, and we had a solar eclipse at 29 Aries, didn't we, on the
Mm-hmm.
Anaretic
Analytic. Yeah.
degree? And that was conjunct Jupiter and square Pluto. It
Yeah.
was a really quite an intense eclipse. And then that built to a Jupiter-Pluto square in May.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was on 0 degrees of Taurus and Aquarius. So, that was quite pushy, I think, but certainly very, very intense. And just a few things I was sort of looking back at from
Mm-hmm.
the spring, because the spring was very, very intense.
Yes. It was.
So
Yes.
we had the banking crises in May when, Credit Suisse was bought
Yeah.
out. And then we've had other banking crises too. We had the conflict in Sudan,
Yes.
in Africa. We had lots of drama in UK politics. Dominic Raab had to resign because of bullying, and that was around that Jupiter-Pluto square, which in its worst form is about bullying, isn't it? Being very pushy and very dominant. You know, Finland joined NATO in the spring. Then the Canada wildfires started in March, and they got worse and worse. And then in June, New York was just covered in smoke, and people were having to mask up again. And then we had the dam bursts in Ukraine, the dam burst in Libya, the Italy floods. Yeah. So there's been lots of sort of water, earth themes, especially, you know, with Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Taurus. And, you know, the Saturn in Pisces, it's about that lack of boundaries and the sea just being able to sort of burst in, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
And then in July, we started building towards that that grand cross where we had the nodal ingress into Aries and Libra, and the Sun and Pluto formed a grand cross with it at 29 of the cardinal signs. So yeah, I'm just going to take a breath because we're only halfway through the year.
Yeah, and that was like I think that during the summer was like I think we are kind of but very also it's also very busy at that time, but I think all our focus are very different way, because there's a feeling about the Ukraine is like much easier during that time, which is like oh, that's why people are kind of lots of interested, and then people are not really care about it that time until like I mean even now our attention was drawn away to the Israel and Palestine.
Yeah.
But early this year, we are really focused on still was in Ukraine, and all the natural disaster like a Hawaiian fire too, and then Canada's fire, and that was like quite surprisingly. And then with another thing is I think it was also is around the summer. I think the Titanic submersible. Also, I mean, I have to say that is more like it's huge news, yes, but not impact to a lot of people, but to rich people who have too much money to spend,
who were quite reckless and took a massive risk. And it's interesting you mentioned that, because that was around June time when we had, you know, it was just before the Cancer ingress.
Indeed.
And there was lots of water themes then, you know. So we had the submarine disaster. The United Nations adopted the High Seas Treaty, and that was the first treaty aimed towards marine conservation in international waters. So that's very much about protecting the water, which is a very Cancerian thing. But what really fascinated me in June, in which I went on to speak about in later in the year, was scientists reported the first synthetic human embryo from stem cells without using sperm or eggs. It was this embryo was created purely from stem cells. And of course that's a very Cancer thing as well. You know, Cancer's to do with the womb and mothering and, you know, reproduction. So that was really interesting. That happened around the Cancer ingress as well. So because what we do, we tend to focus on all the disastrous things like politics and finances and you know, natural disasters, but there's so many scientific innovations and other incredible things happening as well.
Yeah, and that was so interesting. I mean, when you mentioned about the High Sea Treaty things, that was really started in Pisces, isn't it? Although that is regulation over the seafarer, and that is very different, very, very different. Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. And it's interesting what you said about people starting to not forget about Ukraine, but just not care so much. And I think we get desensitized, don't we? very much desensitized. And again, that's a Saturn and Pisces thing, because we get so overwhelmed, we end up just switching off and thinking, do you know what, it's not really my problem. And that's Saturn and Pisces, because we tend to let go of responsibility, don't we?
You're right.
And it's like, it's not our problem, but it's because we're overwhelmed as well, and we feel helpless. It's like, you know, what can I do about it, type thing. And it's the same with Israel. You know, once Israel, the conflict went massive there, Ukraine isn't even being reported in the news anymore.
No, true. Yeah, that is kind of, you know, I think if like you say, that is really Saturn in Pisces. We kind of fed up. We kind of like, oh, that's enough, or that what does that matter with me? But I don't think that's really related now. So in the beginning, we all passionate, we all crazy, we all choosing side. Remember, there was a choosing side that oh, you should not support Russia, or this and that. Even in Palestine and Israel, the people also choosing side. That was so ridiculous, polarized. And then we just like get numb. We like, I'm not interested in that anymore. It's quite funny because these are the real life. This is a real war. It's not a reality TV show on the country.
I know, and it's like there is that feeling of being helpless. You know, my life here in the northeast of England is not affected by the conflict, except financially, because, you know, all the fuel prices went up, and the food prices went up because of the inflationary knock-on effect of the war. But apart from that, it's like my life continued as normal, and you feel a little bit guilty about that. But then you have your own sort of issues to deal with as well at the same time, you know. And you turn on the news and everyone's just overwhelmed by the news, because it's just bad news after bad news after bad news. And then this is another really important thing. Everyone starts to lose trust in the media. They start to lose trust in authority. They don't know what to believe anymore. They don't know who to trust. And that's a very Saturn and Pisces thing too.
I'm 100% agree with you, because at this moment, I'm not drawing attention back to Ukraine. Why not? That's great. But also this situation are very clear. It is a flame of Saturn in Pisces, because like you say, we lost interest on it's not 100% related to us, apart from the gas price going up or something. If not, we just don't care. And then and also I think that when we read the United States, they are kind of stop trying to delay the funding Ukraine, and they are kind of calling for help. If we don't do that, it's so dangerous for them. It's true. And also, I think inside of Ukraine, there's also pressure to him, because of this war being too long. Now they're calling more army to join, more people to join the army against Russia. Of course, these people will fed up with it, and I'm really worried about they in this state, they themselves against Russia also feel tired about that. That is not a good sign for them, really. That is really not a good sign for them. Yeah.
I know. I think there is a general fatigue. There's a collective fatigue, isn't there?
Indeed.
Definitely. And that's Saturn and Pisces.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Yes. But it was quite interesting. I mean, we can also feel that Pluto in Aquarius things from several different areas. I know we're definitely going to talk about a little bit about AI, but before we talk about AI, remember this year we have a few interesting news, believe or not, but a few interesting news about like aliens or UFO, you know, and like government always hiding from you, but they are already here or something. Even in Mexico, remember, they display a kind of
I don't know, people believe or not, a alien's body in the either in the parliament or something,
Yeah,
and people just
it's
like, God,
yeah. I know in the US, some former workers at the Pentagon came forward and
yes,
started talking more openly, and I know some files were released,
hmm
you know, from the secret places in
yeah,
the US about UFOs. So I think we might see more information about that coming out with Pluto and Aquarius.
yeah,
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely, yeah.
yeah,
And space exploration in general is going to be a massive
yeah,
theme with Pluto and Aquarius, definitely, apart from AI and you know all that
mm,
sort of stuff as well. And then of course all the gender issues or the gender equality
yeah,
themes, and you know that's very Pluto and Aquarius as well, you
hmm
know, how we identify ourselves
uh-huh,
personally and within society, you know. And
mm,
we all know now we can identify ourselves as anything that we want choose to, you know, or
definitely,
you know, so that's going to continue developing without a doubt. And Aquarius does have quite a genderless feel about it anyway. It's quite asexual, isn't
yeah,
it? So
or like a non-binary, or I don't
yeah,
know how to
yeah,
describe it. Could be non-binary, could
yeah,
be because there are few images, and I always wonder as a Sun in Aquarius person, I always wonder since I started learning astrology. I always learned some maybe from sun sign book. They're talking about um, is a kind of not really have a very clear indication of a gender or
no,
biological gender or something.
yeah,
And I was like, why? I never understand, and then you check all the book until I realized because the original image of the Aquarius come from the god of in the Egypt, the god of the source of Nile, and called Hapi, and that is a god that has been described as a male body who has a huge breast, huge, because he
yeah,
there's a resource of a Nile, so he can nurturing things around, but he's a male body, and that's why there is a non-binary or that
yeah.
kind of a both gender, and I was like, oh, interesting.
I think as well because Aquarius identifies with the mind and not the body.
Which is true. Yep,
It's
which
an
is
air
true.
sign, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
about the mind and what's contained in the mind. And
hmm
it doesn't matter which body the mind is in. It could be
Yeah.
male, female, whatever,
hmm
you know? So so I think there's that aspect, the air. It's a very air thing, isn't it? I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but when Pluto move into Aquarius, that would be a challenge. I think that would be a challenge about something happening. Like, to be honest, something happening. We can see as a backward,
Yeah.
and that is worrying me. To be honest. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And I think as well with Pluto and Aquarius, you get extremes,
mm
extremists. Very, you
Yeah.
can get very, very right wing
hmm
extreme views. So yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. That things is like and then people get numbed about it. They say, yeah, why not?
Mm,
Like for example, recent Argentina presidential election,
yeah.
and we know the Milei, I think the guy who become the Argentina president now, who has been categorized because he was kind of a very not really support female right and also abortion right, and well, some people support him say it's unfair to relate him to Trump. Well, but we can say he is more right wing.
Mhm.
Yes, he's more right wing about abortion, about the females' right.
Yeah.
But people are desperate because they couldn't get out of a worse economic situation. So they really want something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really they just go to choose something they even don't know. It's like I'm very ill and there is a pill. I don't know what's the function. You know what? Why not swallow it?
Yeah. Exactly. And it's just, it doesn't mean it's better. It's just different. So, but it's like UK politics. You know, there's a lot of right wing split in the Tory party in the UK at the minute. There's a lot of right wing views. So we're going to see a lot of that. Definitely, yeah.
Yes, indeed, indeed. I think we have the well, I think it's what's her name? I nearly forget. Our
Suella
Suella.
Braverman.
And she was like standing in the front of that hardcore extreme, right? And it was like, wow, you know, that is a very, very interesting position. And then kind of really want to push forward and kick out the Sunak, and then she want to replace him. I was just like, yeah.
I know. I think it's going to be a very interesting spring.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the new year and we're going to be building to that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the spring, and it's going to get very exciting, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I just read another news. I mean, it's quite interesting. I really want to go back to check the chart. But a big, huge Japanese company, everyone know the company called Toshiba. They just finished their company today.
Toshiba?
Yeah, Toshiba is gone.
Really?
Yes, and I just read it because in the early September, in late September, they already have this decision. And now the Toshiba, okay. Yes, let me double check what's happening. So now what we know is this moment, there's no more Toshiba. Okay, and first from the June, Toshiba already withdrew from the computer market, and then they are kind of a cease trading or something from the stock exchange from yesterday.
Okay.
Oh, that is wow.
That's a massive company that's been around for many years. In the electronic technological business. I wonder if they're going to have a rebirth and start up as something new.
Yeah.
And that would very much tie in with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the spring. I wonder where that conjunction falls on the Toshiba chart.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to look at.
I should go to have a quick look next time. Yeah. Yeah, that would be so interesting. Yes. Well, and then so what else we can see?
Should we just continue through the rest of the year, because we got to July?
Let's go. So
we got to July, and then we had the Venus retrograde in Leo, and we had Barbie. Barbie was released, and Oppenheimer. Barbie's so Venus in Leo, isn't it? So, but I don't think that Venus and Leo retrograde was particularly easy. I think a lot of people closed a few doors, said some goodbyes, and certainly reassessed what they actually wanted from relationships, definitely. Then we had the Greece wildfires, the Hawaii wildfires, you know, that type of thing. Then we get into October. We had the solar eclipse at 19 Libra while we were at the AA conference.
Oh, yes.
That's very much an air eclipse. And then, of course, Israel was we had the Hamas attack, and the Israel conflict was really kicking off then. And that's kind of taken up most of the news since, hasn't it, to be honest?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that is also kind of to be honest, we know there is always a conflict there.
Yeah.
Just suddenly like this. And that attack is quite striking, to be honest. And in the beginning, people will say, people understand and people choose a side. You either stand with Israel or Palestine.
Yeah.
And then it's quite interesting. It doesn't matter which side you choose. You couldn't say you're 100% right.
No, absolutely not. And then, of course, you've got Hamas. So it wasn't Palestine attacking, it was Hamas, this terrorist group. Yeah. And they caught Israel completely unawares. Israel let their guard down, which is a Saturn and Pisces thing again. If we
Mm.
go back to the 1930s, the Nazis were rearming and rebuilding, and Europe let its guard down, and Saturn was in Pisces then in the 1930s. So it's like Saturn and Pisces, we relax our boundaries, we relax our defenses, and that's what Israel did, because their intelligence should really have picked up on the Hamas plans, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, to be honest. But now Israel hit back so hard, you know, and even like last couple of days ago, they killed 3 of their own hostage.
I know,
You just
I
can't
know,
believe it. Yeah, yeah.
I
And
know.
there
Yeah.
is there is like the Saturn in Pisces is really playing here because you don't know who in which side.
No,
Yeah,
everyone, it's going back to that confusion. You don't know who to believe, who to trust.
yeah,
You just don't know, do you?
yeah.
And I think, the conflict's been very intense and very difficult with the children being kidnapped
Oh
by Hamas
yes.
as well and held hostage. And we hit Scorpio season.
Hmm.
We ended up with the Sun, Mercury, Mars, and Ceres in Scorpio. It was incredibly intense, and Ceres represented the children being kidnapped by Hamas.
Oh yeah,
It's so Scorpio and
yeah.
very intense. It was quite a difficult few weeks, I think, October through into November for a lot of people. They felt very overwhelmed emotionally, very, very challenged emotionally.
Hmm.
Um, so I was quite glad to sort of get out of the Scorpio weather. It was quite
Yeah.
hard. And here we are in Mercury retrograde in December. And of course, Mercury in Capricorn, it's ruled by Saturn, which is in Pisces. So it's a very, very reflective time, I think. This is a
Yes.
really, really good time to sort of really sit back and reflect, and
Hmm.
because it hasn't been an easy year.
No,
It hasn't at
no.
all.
When you mentioned about it, I was just like, are we? But yes, it's not an easy year, especially when all the things related to Saturn in Pisces and Pluto in Aquarius is like
Mhm.
it really bring the levels up and down,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
especially extreme, and then we either too involved,
yeah,
like
yeah,
even that's not our business. We just like no, you have to choose a side. What side? And then either another side is like, oh, that's not my business. Really, I don't really want to
yeah,
care about it.
yeah,
So it's like it's helping us or teaching us like try to find the balance position in
yeah.
the middle because if Pluto going to move into Aquarius like this, we are going to experience more.
More extremes. We need to find the balance,
Yeah.
and that brings us back to the nodes shifting into Aries and Libra in the summer. And
Mm.
we're all trying to find some balance in our lives, and I think we're
Yeah.
swinging
Oh yes.
between each side a lot of the time.
Yes.
So there's been a lot of challenges this year, and until Pluto moves fully into Aquarius, which is another year, it's November next year when it moves fully into Aquarius, we're still going to be feeling a lot of the same, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. 100% agree with you because I think um, Pluto will move into the Aquarius again in the January and then move in and out again next
Yeah,
year until the next November and
yeah,
finally stay in there. So we have another year of a learning curve, to be honest,
another
trying
year
to
of, yeah, one foot in the past, one foot in the future.
yeah, to be honest. So that
Yeah,
is the kind of pretty interesting
yeah,
feeling we're going to experience. And then yeah, so well,
yeah,
are
yeah.
we talking about, do you want to know Toshiba's chart?
Yeah, go on,
I
let's have a look.
okay. Well, yes, okay, let me show you that. Let me show you see how
Okay.
good. Okay, what I found is from the Wikipedia, and then see
Yeah,
if you can see it. Here
yeah,
we are.
yeah.
So the date is 11th of July 11th of July, 1875.
Okay.
I use noonday. Look, where is the Mars?
I know, but look at the Pluto at 23 Taurus.
Yeah.
What about
Oh my God.
Jupiter Uranus in the spring at 21 Taurus? They're going to
Oh
have a
my.
rebirth.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They're
yeah,
definitely going to have a rebirth. Yes.
yeah, but
Yes. That's quite
yeah,
interesting.
that Mars and Sagittarius, that's being triggered now.
Yes.
But it's also quincunx,
Yes.
that Pluto as
Pluto.
well.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, the
So this is
Pluto's a yod.
interesting. Oh yes.
It's a yod
With
with
Jupiter.
moon Jupiter. This is
Jupiter.
fascinating.
Interesting
Fascinating.
chart.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't expect this, but it's so funny, isn't it? Yeah, to be
Brilliant.
honest, I just like, oh, I read news, and it is a big company, a large company. We haven't talked about it, but yeah, the company is just kind of stopped trading, and then it's like, wow, what a great big news, but we don't know about it, Yeah.
There's
Well,
something exciting going to happen.
yeah, that would be, yeah, it taking time to come back, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you, Lianne. It's so interesting to chat about and have a yearly review. It's more fun. And now we maybe have a little bit more, at least we know what we like in next year, because the Pluto is still going to move in and out in this area, and the Saturn is still there. You're not going to surprise huge change, but well, yes, there are few changes like a Jupiter Uranus conjunction going to happen.
Yeah.
That will be quite exciting.
Yeah.
And the other things, but at least there's something there we should be expecting. It's not going to change that much,
No.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah.
I think 2025, that's going to be when things really change. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Okay, then. Thank you, Lianne, to take your time out with us,
You're
and it's
welcome.
always enjoying chatting with you. Well, hope to see you more next year then. And then before we say goodbye, we have to say, Happy Christmas to everyone. Or if we
Yeah.
don't use Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holiday. Okay, bye, Lianne. Thank you. Happy
Take care,
Christmas.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.